Welcome to Jurassic Park.
Okay, so superhero time this week was very dino themed. Yeah. So for an episode that some of us may say finished one of the most key elements of the main show's story, one of the first key plot points that we were told when the show got released, and that is collecting all 101 chemis. So it's hard to me to say that it wasn't really the most interesting part about the episode. Almost like the writing team kind of rushed for it because Toei told them, hey, they'll give it up. For some odd reason, people don't like buying trading cards, so they kind of swept it under the rug. Almost like how Uchida is sweeping Lachesis' Valverat form. But, in my opinion, the most interesting and intriguing part about this episode kind of revolved around the three Dark Sisters and, to a bit of degree, Gigist. I do find it kind of interesting the way they're actually trying to kind of break apart the three Dark Sisters, with Atropos still truly believing that, oh, if Geryon was here, none of this would have happened. Please, Gigis, revived my papa, which is still interesting that very much Atropos kind of really believes that Geryon is her dad, which in one point could lead us to a big plot point, a big plot twist that, oh my god, Geryon is her dad and she's actually Hotoro's sister. But it is really interesting that she's really tries to convince Gigis even when he already told her no, I don't need him. To be completely honest, I don't really need you. And this being kind of the first time that he metaphorically put his hands on Atropos and Koloff to a lesser extent. But it is really interesting because you can clearly see, Atropos is okay, maybe this entire thing with Gigist is the wrong thing. Maybe Gigist is not really El Dorado, is not the god that Geryon ever looked up to. Maybe it's someone else. Maybe. Could be. So it is really interesting after the fact seeing Atropos kind of come in and say to Lachesis, hey, I would forgive you, just come back. Almost like she's understanding that she's in a disadvantage. Gigas doesn't really want her. Koloff is going pretty much mad. I'm going to talk about that later. So the only other person she can really turn into that she knows and kind of trusts still is Lachesis. Lachesis isn't really in the type of, oh, let's just become a doll again. So it is really interesting that Atropos is slowly corners herself into oh, I have no one now. I'm kind of stuck literally alone, which could lead us to something really interesting because in kind of the big plot of Atropos's kind of main theme of her as a character, and that is the scenario of family and how much family matters. She told Rene, family doesn't matter. I can be alone and it's fine, but you can clearly see she's not. She wants to be around people. She wants to be around people that are very much like-minded and actually like her. Again, you can still believe that maybe Geryon has this very much, you could say, a fatherly figure towards her. She sees him as her father. Maybe he sees her as her daughter. It is really interesting for a character that just for quite some time just shunned away the idea and the entire kind of theme of family needs people the most right now. And you know who needs some people? And that's fucking Koloff, because she's going mad, mainly with power, the power that Gigis gave her. 100% she's dying. Literally you can clearly see that power is slowly killing Koloff. As a character, she is kind of returning to her old form of oh, I'm the angry, pissed off woman. I'm going to kick Lachesis' ass. which I get it. Like, she's going mad because of the power, so she's not thinking rationally. So she's just going to straight up attack Lachesis for no apparent reason, to be completely honest, because like last time that we saw Lachesis and Koloff in the same scene, Koloff did actually not attack her in the end. She just attacked Valvrot, she just attacked Spanner. When she tried to attack Lachesis, she kind of stopped herself. So it is really interesting. It could be like Koloff wanting Lachesis to kill her, pretty much like ending her misery, because you can clearly see, oh, Koloff is dying very soon, or she's just going to become a monster and Hotaro would kill her. Like, Koloff as a character feels like this show could have done something more with her, and I don't know if they're going to continue to do more with her, but right now she kind of feels like she's kind of in a stopgap until like they're going to kind of continue on with like Atropos and Lachesis. And if we already talk about Lachesis, there is a big kind of like big reveal in the end of the episode where she first of all eats, which is interesting because like the entire thing of like the dolls that they don't really need to eat because they're not like actual like living creatures, they're just supposed to imitate living creatures, but also she actually do want to be a human. She has that want, so that's like a big kind of like pop for her as a character, as a person, because like as a character that like for the first time that like when we kind of started to maybe say, oh, maybe Lachesis can turn human. The first time we did it is like, oh, let's make her laugh, and she was like, huh, that's stupid. But something happened. Probably she saw Koloff and she saw Atropos kind of like losing themselves because like they're kind of alone in their own worlds, where they, even if they have their like Abelistis king with them, they feel way more divided than ever. So she kind of understand that, oh, I'm actually done the right thing. Like literally Reine saved her. And how much it's weird because again she can transform. Why the fuck the show just forgot that Lachesis can transform? But fine, Reine literally said, she's with us, don't touch her. It's like, oh, that's cool. That's something that's a neat little character thing for Reine to say. And this is a neat thing for Lachesis to see and to hear. It's like, oh, I am being appreciated. That's good. So like now it's like, oh my god, what's going to happen when like let's say next episode, because the next episode kind of feels like it's going to be the big kind of turning point with the three Dark Sisters. It does really feel that, let's say, Atropos and Reine are going to form some sort of a pack, but it is going to be very interesting with Koloff because she seems to be finding wind. Oh yeah, like Fuga is going to come back next episode. It's not that big of a surprise. It is kind of interesting overall for those three, how they are now being positioned as like in these kind of like very much opposite views to where they were before. At least 2/3 out of the Dark Three Sisters. But it's really interesting to see what the fuck they're going to do with Koloff, because it seems like she's slowly losing her mind and her life energy because of the powers. Koloff desperately understands that she needs a family. She's not going to say it out loud, but she's going to hint at it. While Lachesis is fully on board of trying to become a human, which is interesting. While Gigist is literally playing up the part of every Gotchard hater, not understanding gacha, what the world is a gacha, and also hating on Hotaro for no apparent reason, because oh, it's so easy because he's just such a good fucking boy, because he is. Like, I like the boy, he is a nice good boy, but also kind of still believing that because he created the first two chemis, he understands what the chemis are and what they're supposed to be, because like, oh, the chemis evolve out of malice, this is what they are, I created them, which is done because he created beings with intelligence. He created beings that can think for themselves. It's like, oh, I know what they want. It's almost like a parent that tells you, oh, I know what you want. don't. He's literally the embodiment of what Hotoro is not. Hotoro believes in freedom for the Kemis. He sees them as actual like beings of life that should do what they want. Where fucking Gigas is like, no. Their weapons were made to destroy things, which is great. He's literally the main theme of nihilism of the show, while Hotoro is the main theme of optimism, and their clash makes sense. Their rivalry, how much, if you think about it, doesn't really have this big impactful backstory, makes sense. So yeah, like, I loved what Gigas has been doing for this show. It's really good. You can really feel this show is kind of like understanding where it's going now. So yeah, Kanchiki is back, mainly here to just say, hey, there is a big fucking raptor that eats people, or just he comes on them. Because like, we see him and it's like, bro, no fucking way, this is just like he just munched on ya. He was doing joking. He was doing a joking session on ya, son. I think you should call the police. He was pretty much there for that, and he left. But in the end, Hotoro actually got to catch the final two Kemis. Yeah, like that was it. Like they kind of had kind of funny beats in between Hotoro catching the final two Kemis and the beginning of the episode, but that was it pretty much. It was kind of fun, but nothing more than that. But to kind of the coolest and most important part of the episode, if you really think about it, at least like power scale variety, and that is Hotoro and Gigas finally fought, and Gigas was defeated. Well, to be completely honest, the show kind of put Gigas over very strong when he was defeated, getting ganged up by 3 Gotchards. Oh yeah, Hotoro can just do that now because like they can actually, like, Nijigon can breathe rainbow, and that turns the Kemi cards into brand new variants of cards that we already bought. Buy like pack 5, now get all of the rainbow version of all of your favorite cards, and with it, he can summon different forms of himself. Well, he can summon like the different forms of Gotchard, which appears to be like Gotchard as some sort of a skeleton that is actually being operated by the Kemis, which is cool. Like overall, like that fight scene was fun. Like overall, this episode was good. It wasn't something groundbreaking, it was very much this setup episode for the 3 Dark Sisters, showing us more of like Rainbow Gotchard's powers and Nijigon's powers, because it kind of feels like Nijigon kind of put on a spell on the Kemis, which kind of neuters the entirety of like the Berserk amalgams, but like it could be just like, oh, let's just have a fire breathing attack for our dragon theme Kemi, which is kind of funny that we have 2 dragon themes and we're not going to talk about them ever again. Oh yeah, they actually summoned the dragon theme Kemi, like the first one, alongside Gotchard to fight like Gigas for a bit. Like I wish that was an actual suit for Gotchard to fight Gigas against, because like it's kind of cool because those 2 were like the first 2 Kemis, so it's like, oh, you could have done that, but you didn't. Okay, and like I like all the setup for the Dark 3 Sisters and what they're right now doing with Gigas. Hotoro is right now in this weird holding spot. Because of that, I kind of believe that they shouldn't really revive Hopper 1 and then Trooper and Skiabo. They could have maybe waited with that and have like Hotoro kind of rejuvenated with Nijigon. It's like, oh, I'm going to like bring my friends back. I'm going to create that flower, and not, oh, big rainbow splash. They're back. While also, it is kind of interesting that somehow Minato is going to, I don't know, like destroy the academy and try to rebuild it, kind of remake the academy to have the youth have a better future. Like, that's a really interesting thing that the show kind of like brought back from like the Garyon, when Garyon kind of like died. Like, if it were, yeah, it's episode 28. So it's literally 10 episodes ago they brought back that story. So it is kind of interesting. So yeah, this episode was quite fun. I genuinely enjoyed it. So what you all thought about Gotchard episode 39, comment below, let me know. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed my review. If you want to help me, smash the like button, and if you want to help, the subscribe button, because he's very sad. Because here's the thing, every subscribe button actually has a goal to be a subscribed button. So like, please subscribe. Thank you very much and have a great rest of your day. Bye bye.